In the small fishing town of Buckie, Scotland, there exists a 76-year-old shed. That shed is owned by Tricia and John. John's great-grandfather was a plumber. John's grandfather was a plumber. John's father, a plumber. And John, a plumber. Now retired. Tricia worked in whiskey, now also retired. Together, the two of them make excellent landlords that invite you into their house every day at noon for tea and afternoon treats. 76 years later, in the year 2024, that shed is occupied by 3 sisters. 2 of them retired. The other one spent a few years of her life driving up and down the Scottish countryside looking for the perfect shed. Now the shed, as it stands today, February 8th, is 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside of the shed, you'll find hot water bottles, heat lamps, and knit and woven seat covers mixed between down jackets and wool coats. Smells of paraffin, which are used to lubricate the iron machines ranging from 109 to 44 years old, come and go throughout as the sisters reapply as necessary. Thick leather and waxed canvas belts wrap around pulleys and loop around poles where they spin, slap, and pull machine components like they have been doing for decades. A series of these functioning machines, a shed, and the woman who found the shed make up Woven in the Bone, a legendary Scottish mill ran by Sam Goats, who makes some of the finest cloth for the finest tailors on Savile Row. Sam's cloth is unlike anything else in the world. Today, we will be telling the tale of Woven in the Bone, of Sam Goats, and of the cloth she is making for the Iron Snail Mammoth Special Edition 2024.
Okay, so we didn't used to have, we didn't have any heaters, and then last winter we splashed out and got some heaters. So the infrared heater is called Infrafred. The big fan heater in the corner, so that's Gale. Over in the warping area, it's the switch. We have Gloria. My revolving box has a tendency to wobble in one direction, so that's called Edith. Edith Piaf, who had a wobbly voice. I'm Sam Goats, and my little mini micro artisan weaving mill is called Woven in the Bone. I was working, doing various freelance and consultancy work. There was a period where things were quite slow on that work front, so I had seen these looms years before in the Hebrides and always was kind of hooked. It was just nagging at me that was something I'd really like. Suddenly when I found these looms, it was like here was an opportunity to have your own little mill and not have anybody tell me what to do. So the first job I have to do is split the cone into smaller packages. So let's say that I needed my cheeses to be 100 grams. I can take them off. I know that the plastic tube's about 30 grams, so I'm gonna guess that's 70. Oh.
Over?
95.
Oh.
It's the pressure.
Yeah. We start, of course, with the yarn. The fibers are made from Herdwick sheep.
This video is sponsored by Carrot. Carrot allows you to save 90% off on anything you buy without a coupon anywhere on the frickin' internet. Just frickin' download the extension on Google Chrome or the app on your iPhone, and all of a sudden, boom, anything you want, look on Deal Hop, you're saving money. What's that? You wanna know how it works, pretty boy? Carrot's Deal Hop uses AI to find the best deals on the entire web. Are you looking for a red sequin dress for a sexy night out? Well, instead of searching through 80 different websites, why not just use Deal Hop to search them all at the same time? Oh, is Deal Hop not something you're interested in right now? Well, I bet there's a million open tabs on your computer that you're not interested in right now that you could add to groups on Carrot so you can save them for later without leaving everything open on your computer. It's very useful, it's very nice. So listen up, you little pipsqueak. I highly suggest you check out Carrot and download the app or extension today, and thank you, Carrot, for sponsoring this video. Welcome back, Sam.
We start, of course, with the yarn. The fibers are made from Herdwick sheep. Considered to be one of the most hardy sheep native to the Lake District in northwest England, a Herdwick sheep endures cold and relentless rain at heights up to 3,000 feet. Herdwick sheep have been known to survive under a blanket of snow for 3 days, eating nothing but their own wool.
The warp threads in the cloth are the threads that run up and down the length of the cloth. So the cheeses that we've wound on the cheese winder all fit onto this creel, and each thread is pulled off the cheese. So the threads from the creel, the ends, they come through this special little reed, so that can make it go up and down, which helps you to make the lease. Then they come through this other reed, and this whole drum then rotates round, winding the threads off to the length that you want.
Once the warp is ready, it's loaded onto Sam's loom, and she then begins to wind perns with the weft yarns, which will then be loaded into the shuttle, a shuttle loom.
The weft yarn is wound onto a little package we call a pern, P-I-R-N. Another clever little machine. Very clever, there's a little rotating cam here. Flips up and down. As it pushes against the cone, it pushes up and eventually stops winding itself.
The thickness of the yarn determines how frequently Sam has to reload the shuttle and restart the process. The more times this action happens, the more tiring the job is, since the act of getting the machine in motion is the most tiresome part.
I reckon somewhere between 15 and 20 seconds I'm stopping to change this pern. Well, it's a whole different mentality in a way. You have to sort of psych yourself for doing that, because you feel like, initially you feel like you're not getting anywhere. It was quite a journey after that. In fact, a few years I would say before I was really confident of what I could make, that if I said I would make you 50 metres, how long it would take me, how much it would cost, all that kind of thing. So I spent quite a long time just building it up slowly. You know, my biggest fear would be letting somebody down. So the main loom that I use is the Mark II loom. It's a Hattersley domestic. Hattersley were a company, George Hattersley and Sons made lots of really big cast iron looms for the Industrial Revolution. So this was a later model, a smaller mini version that is powered with your feet. So nothing moves on the loom until you start pedaling.
The shuttle is thrown back and forth through the open shed of warp yarns. The shed is the gap between raised and lowered threads, and it forms the weave.
I've got 3 looms. One loom's 1938, one loom's 1948, and this is the youngster, around 1980.
This chain that you're seeing, the weft pattern card, determines which shuttle will be thrown from the box. Technically, this is a computer. Each shuttle in the box can be loaded with a different color of thread. That combined with the weft pattern card means you can make intricate weft patterns.
1948 Hattersley domestic Dobby loom, which is a little bit unusual because the top part of the loom is really quite rare, and there's only a handful that I know of, and only one other one that I know of in the world that's actually working like this one. So initially I didn't know what I was going to make, who would want to buy the cloth, how would I sell it, how would I get it to market. And I've been lucky, it has been really popular, and I get loads of interest from people, from bespoke tailors on Savile Row to brands in the States or Japan. So it's just lovely that I can be here in my little shed in Bucky and be sending cloth all over the world.
After the weaving is completed, Sam then takes the cloth to her sister Sally, who darns any part of the cloth that need it. She then takes the cloth to be finished, where the very defined weave will feather into a more blended looking fabric. This process has many benefits, but mainly the weave is tighter, making the fabric denser and more impermeable to the elements, and it brings the character of the cloth out dramatically.
I figure I've got another 10 years to go before I can retire. And of course, I can imagine I'll probably never retire, really, even though I keep saying, yes, I really want to retire. So no, the future's pretty bright, I'd say. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Sam called her mill Woven in the Bone because of a poem she found in a weaving book by Donald S. Murray. The poem, in the now out-of-print book, speaks of how weavers find inspiration for the patterns of their cloth from the landscape around them and what they find under their very own feet. After meeting Sam and seeing her cloth, I can see why she relates to that poem so much. When Sam first started Woven in the Bone, she flew around with a suitcase full of cloth samples, pitching her cloth to all who would listen. She assumed that she would return to them again and again, slowly building the trust of people until they finally placed an order with her. However, to Sam's surprise, and nobody else's, on her travels back to the shed, she found herself with a book full of orders and quite a bit of work to do.
And it was just so lovely. People were so lovely and so welcoming. You just came away totally reassured, I think, and felt appreciated and welcomed, and so it's a lovely trade to be a part of. I feel like, maybe wrongly, but I feel like a nice part of everybody else's business as well.
See you next week. I won't be in Scotland. I'll be in England.